Every human being is intended to have a character, to be what no other is, and to do what no other can do. William Ellery Channing.
Hi, my name is David LaPlante. I'm the author of Artist Anodizing Aluminum, the Sulfuric Acid Process. At the time that I was writing my book, I felt like a person wearing many hats. The hat of a teacher, the hat of the human, and the hat of the artist. I'm not sure which hat I'll have on at what time during this video, but I'm sure you'll figure it out as we go along. The one thing that frustrated me very much about writing a book, as opposed to making art, is the problem of how long does it take you to explain something on a page, whereas if you did it in a real demonstration, you could probably show it in perhaps a minute or less. You could pick the object up, you can show it to your audience. But on a page, it's much more difficult. So, after thinking about what we had done in the book, it seemed that the most obvious part to move to next was to make this video. Now, this video is made for those of you who have read the book. It is not necessarily to reiterate everything that we did in the book, but to show you how I anodize. Now, just like motorcycle riding or anything else that you do, this is the way I work. This is how it works for me. I don't know if it'll work the same for you, but I'll give you some chances to see how I work, and then you can mirror that against what you already are doing, or maybe you're going to change your style to try to duplicate or to improve on some of the things that I'm showing you how to do.
As you follow along with the video, I would recommend that you refer frequently back to the book. And certainly to start off with, we want to remember the realistic considerations. Being careful, being cautious, and being serious. Of utmost concern is to watch out for the electricity and for the chemicals which may harm you. Be certain that you are very aware of the safety considerations and that you are wearing the appropriate safety equipment. I will be during the video, and I hope you will be wearing that every time you do your anodizing. I'm going to be showing you some of the various pieces of metal that I work with and taking you through some of the special techniques that I use. We'll be talking about the process and some basic setup, which may help you to improve parts of your anodizing setup. Some surface pretreatments I'll be covering, such as bead blasting and chiseling or engraving, I hope will add some spark to your work. And we'll definitely be spending a little time with the racking. Talking about jigs, racks, we'll be racking single items and then multiple items with some commercial racks. We'll work with the setup and actually anodize some pieces, take them through the dyeing, and eventually the sealing. Visual artists need visual references, something to look at to see what else other people have done. And we're going to have a couple of color slideshows for you. So why don't you sit back and relax, and let's take a look at some examples of what I've done just prior to writing Artist Anodizing Aluminum, the Sulfuric Acid Process. I lied. There are more than 2 slideshows, and we'll start back in 1968. But first, This container from 1969 is small, about 3.5 inches tall. I've always enjoyed working with materials that are found or materials that I work with, that I make, using iron chain mesh, as on these bracelets, or perhaps dealing with the chain mesh and the function of small containers for pocket change. I like the way the iron mesh can be put together, as in this Pinball Wizard's dime bank. I think the fascination for me has always been with the container and its possible function. In this case, I have an object that will hold on to cheese, or figs, or small pieces of meat, or an apple, or whatever you'd like to put the fork through. And of course, maybe dessert is most important. That's up to you. After your meal, you should use this toothpick holder and the toothpicks inside. Another bank that's about 9 inches in diameter, using a coconut as a matrix, is covered with aluminum shingles, iron mesh, and accents of gold-filled links. I like covering things with texture. Sometimes it's just a small bit of mesh. In 1980, I started working with the painted aluminum, scribing, engraving, and putting ornamentation onto the surface. I find that my fascination for surface has increased as I've worked with the painted aluminum. A few lines here or there, or maybe multiple lines, creating a graphic approach or a graphic landscape that the person can get lost in. I hope the viewer's imagination will be piqued by these forms. Sometimes I'll use a slight bit of ornamentation, or quite a bit. In using found objects again, computer ribbon wire has the bands on these two bracelets. I think that option of taking something that's flat and drawing or working on the surface so that it begins to be three-dimensional is quite a challenge and very pleasurable when it works. I like prismatic plex, as in this brooch, or behind the aluminum that's been engraved. Or how about the smiling bracelet? It would help if we could all look deeper into who we really are to try to find those special images. I believe I've been successful. Not all really work, but a few, and if you keep trying, and if one isn't enough, perhaps you do a trio. But you keep pushing yourself, trying to find out what's possible with your images, trying to find out who you are, who you could be, who you must be. And now I think it's time for you to take a break, and I'll see you in a few moments.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams. You're watching Sleepcore, media for insomnia.
Elvis is dead. Elvis is dead. Elvis is dead.
rilassato, all'improvviso rilassato, mentre spiega quel PM, spiega al giudice la storia. Arrestato per la vita, 3 ottobre del 67, tanto ha fatto, tanti giorni, mesi, anni, tanti anni.
Strano Network si inaugura il 22 aprile 1993 al CSX Emerson di via Bardazzi come indagine sui territori della comunicazione. Attraverso il confronto e l'interazione di esperienze e ricerche effettuate in differenti aree, dalla tecnologia alle problematiche sociali, dalle arti visive alla musica elettronica, Strano Network si presenta con l'obiettivo di salvaguardare la reale possibilità per tutti di comunicare in maniera libera e democratica. Da aprile a giugno sono state presentate l'agenzia di comunicazione antagonista e 3 reti telematiche. Contemporaneamente venivano promossi dibattiti con interventi e riflessioni sui temi dell'arte attuale, arte di parte e network, sull'uso e l'abuso della comunicazione, copyright e hackeraggio sociale, concerti di musica elettronica, installazioni in realtà virtuale ed ipertesti, mostre a sfondo ironico sui mutamenti del costume occidentale, proiezioni di video inediti.
Non credere nei media.
Una cinquantina di teppisti dopo aver dato alle fiamme alcuni copertoni hanno bloccato un bus dell'Atane dopo aver fatto scendere i passeggeri quando incendiati.
Alti finanzieri,
Loschi trafficanti,
banchieri magistrati,
politici intriganti,
strozzini usurai,
giornalisti e poliziotti.
quando uscite per la strada guardatevi negli occhi.
Vivete calpestando,
Ma forse un calpestato vi sta pedinando. Siete categorie a rischio.
categoria a rischio.
Perché ho visto
Ho visto Rosa, Russo e Bolino, l'ho vista con Bettino la crociata. Caccia contro i mali dell'impero con i cani.
ringhiate.
Forte, sciolti, spiri armati, ottusi ed arroganti.
You're watching Sleepcore. Sleep tight.
There's There is a place in our memories where, untouched by time, we can go back and experience the places, events, and feelings of the past. That special place can and should be enjoyed by all of us from time to time. I remember reading an essay about such a thing. It all had to do with slowing down those fleeting moments of time so we can savor such scenes of timeless beauty and happy occasions. If I had my life to live over, went the essay, I would start barefoot earlier in the springtime and stay that way later in the autumn. I would go to more festivals. I would ride more merry-go-rounds. I would pick more daisies. And that's what Autumn's Glory Road is all about. We want to slow down a little and experience that special season of the year. We'll drive slowly, as though it were the early part of this century, and view our country from sea to shining sea. It was Robert Frost who said it. Half the world is composed of people who have something to say and can't say it. And the other half consists of people who have nothing to say and keep on saying it. Well, we trust that we have something to say, and most of it, with a little stretch of the imagination, could well be true. I'll let you decide that. However, the scenery will be impressive. Beauty, they say, cannot be described. You have to see it for yourself. So come with us along Autumn's Glory Road. When you have traveled the American landscape for a few years, the impact of the whole experience seems to sort itself out, and you realize that this is a special place. It can and should be a special part of ourselves. And as the writer Emerson once said, when you travel the world over to find the beautiful, you have to carry it with you, or you've never found it. Thomas Wolfe once wrote an essay about the American landscape and what it means to us. He said, "America is a fabulous country, the only fabulous country. It is the one place where miracles not only happen, but they happen all the time. It is a place of howling winds, the hurrying of leaves in old October, the hard, clean falling to the ground of acorns. It is," he said, "the place of exultancy and strong joy, the bitten colors of autumn, when all the wild, sweet woods flame, where the river, the dark, sweet river, full of strange time, is forever flowing to the sea. It is the place of wild, exultant winter's mornings when the wind and the powdery snow has been howling all night. It is the place where spring comes, and there's a thaw of earth and the burst of grass and bud." Thomas Wolfe, in his own special poetic way, continued to describe the American landscape as an immense and lonely earth, the place of swollen grain and fat ears, where they grow wheat and corn and the wine-red apples of summer. It is the smell of sea in the harbors, the thought of voyages, the strong joy of youth, where you knew that the most fortunate life on earth would certainly be ours. All these are the things we remember of America, for we have known all her thousand lights and weathers and have walked her streets.